I want to talk about anime conventions, and most recently I attended my third Anime Boston. At the time of this recording, it was a week. It was this last weekend, rather, and I have a video about the haul that I got, but more so, I wanted to just talk for a few minutes about the viewpoint I have on conventions as a whole, at least in my experience, the pros and cons um, of attending these things. And 3 years ago, like before I had ever attended one, these things would have probably scared me a tad just because I'm not the most social person in the world, and I think there's probably a lot of people like that might have a convention near them and just choose not to go because of some social anxiety or something. Or I mean there's also the people that just can't go because maybe there isn't one remotely near them, and the idea of traveling for, an expensive weekend of nerddom uh, isn't isn't either appealing or plausible. And I get that. So let's I'll start with the positives, I suppose. So first of all, anime conventions are like, obviously they're just like this big anime festival, right? It is a festival of celebration of this thing that evidently everybody, most of the people there, I don't know why you're going to this if you don't like anime. Most of the people there probably like the same shit that you do, right? So that's one of my big reasons that I continue to go. It's even less the factor of I'm like wowed by anything there, because I'll be honest, sometimes it's like some of the same stuff. But it's the idea of it's the one time a year where I'm going to a place full of anime fans, right? Full of people that, for the most part, like the same sort of medium that I do. It might not be the same shows. They might not like anime for the same reasons, but they have, what for whatever reason that they decided to go there that weekend or whatever it is. They like anime enough to spend the money and their time, and so am I. So there's the commonality there, right? There's the sense of camaraderie, almost a community, right? It's the one time where uh, it's people go out of their way to sort of venture out physically into the anime community, so, unless you have some kind of like club or something like that. But even that's not going to be on like the grand scale that is one of these larger conventions. The smaller conventions, I mean, maybe I can't really talk for those. Some clarification: I go to Anime Boston because I'm from Massachusetts, albeit fairly far from Boston, so it's kind of a hike for me. So I do stay the weekend in a hotel. Anime Boston usually takes place near Easter time every year. It has around 25,000 total attendees, making it the seventh largest anime convention in the United States, at least according to the great source of Wikipedia. So yeah, it's kind of like a town. It is literally more people than the town that I live in, and maybe for a lot of you the same way. It is a ton of people over a 3 day period, and so yeah, it's like this big festival. I'd say that's the number one reason why I continue to go. It's like a celebratory thing for me. It's a once a year little vacation. Like, I'll usually take like the Friday off of work and go in, and usually it's me and my buddy, and I'll stay at his place on Thursday, and then we go in Friday and spend the whole day Friday and the whole day Saturday, and then part of the day on Sunday just enjoying the convention. And it's a nice little escape from work and from other stresses of life and so forth. It's therapeutic for me. It really is. Like, Yeah, it's as taxing as it can be. It's somewhat relaxing. The other reason, another big thing, is the cosplayers. Now, I do not personally have the guts to cosplay, but I very much have the utmost respect for people that do. I used to think that those people, I'll be honest with you, I used to think that it was kind of weird. But that was before I ever went and I ever saw, like, in person, like, the amount of effort that people put into to some, not all. Some costumes are just for, like, for the meme, but some of these costumes, you could tell these people just, like, work, like, the whole year on it, and I appreciate that. I still don't think I could do it. I don't know, maybe at some point. Excuse me. But every year you see, like, different cosplays. Some years, I've gone 3 years in a row. Sometimes you get some of the same cosplay from, like, the same person. Like, it's near Easter, as I mentioned. There's always this one guy that does Jesus, and it's pretty funny, and he looks a lot like him. So, it's pretty fitting. There's one guy who just walks around with this, like, white sign that says free shrugs, and if you just ask him for one, he just shrugs at you, and very nonchalantly, and he's just like, he's perfect for the role of whatever that is, I guess. But I'm always amazed by the amount of effort that people put into cosplay. I mean, like I said, they're not all, like, stellar, but there are ones that are amazing. And you tend to see different sort of themes every year. It's almost like there's, like, this hidden memo of, like, what show everyone's going to do. Generally, it's, like, the more modern stuff, but, like, this year it was My Hero Academia. So the variety this year wasn't, like, as big, I noticed, but the effort is still pretty evident there. You can buy a lot of shit if you're a collector. This is sort of like your... I almost want to say paradise, but at the same time, you're going to spend a fuck ton of money if you're going here to collect, as I do. It would be smarter and less expensive to just shop online for sure. But it's kind of like the same, like, when you're buying stuff at a store in the mall or something, right? Probably costs more. Oh man, than Amazon. But it's the convenience of it being right there. It's the fact that it's Anime Boston or whatever convention it is. It's the idea that so a lot of the time you can find something, like, really rare or out of print because there's a whole bunch of different vendors at conventions. I got a copy of Bakano this year for actually cheaper than I would get it for on Amazon. Which that's a rare occurrence. Usually you pay more money. Like, I think all of my other DVDs and Blu-rays that I picked up would be less expensive on Amazon besides that one Bakano one. But it's an opportunity to go there and walk out with a haul if you are a collector. I don't buy anime and manga as nearly as much as I did even, like, a year and a half ago. Because I try to save up for the con, because I know I'm going to spend a lot of money there, and I'm forever adding shows that I know I'm not going to, that's going to take me a while to finish. So you could buy a whole bunch of shit. You could buy a whole bunch of merchandise, posters, wall scrolls, play mats, shirts, plushes, figures if you want to spend a whole lot of money. Yeah, there's just cards. They sell, like, Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh cards there, and just tons of shit. Like, you name it, they got onesie pajamas. They got tons of shit at these things. It's an opportunity also to see a whole bunch of really cool art. There's at least in Anime Boston, there's this cool art room. Art room. There's, like, an art. I forget what the term that they call it. It's oh my god, it's really escaping me. There's like a vendor's room for artists, like, people that have paid for a booth to display their either anime related drawings or, like, just their own their own creative pieces and stuff like that. Oh my god, I can't think of the term for it. Wow, it's been a long day, but It's like an artist like gallery kind of place. And it's really awesome. That's where I get like I buy mouse pads and stuff from there, like play mats and shit. You can get some really cool. A lot of the fans are really dedicated to being able to draw certain characters very well. And often that's kind of cheaper than buying like some of the real merch. And I think it has a lot more heart than some of the real merch because it's crafted by individuals that took the opportunity to display their art and drive all the way to the convention because I'm sure they're not all from like the area. You can see some premieres at cons. I don't know if this is true at every one. I guess once again, asterisk here. I've only been to Anime Boston. And every year I've been, they've premiered something different. Like once was Attack on Titan season 2 a day early. This year was Code Geass, Lelouch of the Resurrection movie. They usually do that stuff kind of as like a big event at the con, and that's pretty cool if you want to see that. You can meet people, creators, musicians, actors, staff members. I met several members of the Sunrise staff that did Inuyasha because they had this whole Inuyasha panel last year. I met Kaoru Wada, the musical composer for Inuyasha and D. Gray Man, and it was really cool. They had autograph sessions. Some of them you have to pay for though, so watch out. There's certain hours. Sometimes it's like free. Sometimes you have to pay for it. I met Lisa Ortiz, the voice actress from the Slayers, Lena Inverse from the Slayers this year. Got her autograph on my Now and Then Here and There DVD. So it's pretty cool. I will say that the autograph sessions are kind of overrated. And I'll talk about that when I get more so toward the cons. The last like big positive I had is overall like you could like meeting people that have similar interests, which I sort of already mentioned. But it's like I guess technically you could like make a friend here. This might be a stretch. I tend to go with friends, so for me it is an outing with some of my friends that I don't really get to see that often anymore, and we both we like anime, so it's kind of like a win-win. So if you have like friends that like anime, maybe you don't see them all the time, or even if it's friends you see all the time and you have this in common, it's a good opportunity to go to an event where that takes like center stage, because then you get reminded of like, oh hey man, did you check out this show? Oh, you should check this out or whatever. And then, like, weeks later, you'll be like, oh, thank you for recommending me that. And it's like, well, that was only on my mind because I went to the con. I saw posters of it all over the place. So that can happen. So, I see there's a lot of benefits to going to cons. I'm going to keep going, at least to Anime Boston. I don't know if I'd go to other ones in the future. I think this picture that I have up here, I believe it's from Anime Expo. I could be wrong. Believe it or not, there's not a ton of good, like, shots of Anime Boston like from above like this. I googled for like 2 seconds and then just found one from a bigger convention. But this is kind of how like a dealer's room might look. So that's gonna bring me to like my first con. My first negative here is there's a fuck ton of people often at these. So if you are like me, not the most social butterfly in the world, or specifically if you don't like crowds, it might be rough. Also, like Smelly People, if that, like, a Smelly People really bother you, because you got a lot of nerds here, and not a lot of them care about bathing for the weekend, apparently. And you got a lot of people in costumes, sometimes big, sweaty costumes. So people can be gross. I wish people would just shower. I know you guys are in freaking hotels when you go to these things, so please use the hotel that is in your shower. They give you it. It's part of the room. They're not going to charge you extra. Use the soap. Wipe it on your skin, all right? Then put on some deodorant, right? And then put on, your friggin' raccoon costume or whatever the hell you're wearing. I don't know why there's someone's Sly Cooper at the con for some reason. The other thing, people, I realize that I am sort of a dinosaur in the aspect that I purchase anime still. Not every anime I watch. I fully believe in some Gaio piracy, because not everything is licensed, not everything is easy to see. If you want to watch fucking Monster, one of the greatest anime of all time, if you want to see it all, you're gonna have to pirate the fuck out of it, because it's, as far as I know, nowhere streaming. Or you're gonna get a really expensive DVD like my friend did of the first 15 episodes, and then I don't know what the fuck you're gonna do after that. You want to see Evangelion before Netflix picks it up? You're gonna have to pirate the shit out of that. But I guess that's an argument for another day. Sorry to go on a tangent there, but I realize not a lot of people buy Blu-rays and stuff anymore. So maybe that might not look appealing to some of you, but I mean, there's a lot more, like, there's still like merch and stuff, posters, wall scrolls. But I get that there's probably some people that don't like anime shit all over their house. They don't want the idea of having to move and pack up a bunch of fucking anime shit every time they choose to go to a different apartment. I respect that. There's a certain, a big one is the travel and expenses. Now, I guess if you're lucky enough to live in a city that has a convention, you don't have to worry about this. But if you're me, so take me for example. I go almost 2 hours technically from like where I live. It's an hour to where I stay at my friend's on the Thursday, and then it's like an hour from like his place to the hotel, and the hotel is walking distance of the convention. So technically, for me, for a convention to home is like almost like 2 hours. And that's probably nothing compared to what some people go through to go to cons. But if you're someone that doesn't like travel, you might not like it. It's also very expensive, especially if you're in these bigger cities. Boston, one of the most expensive cities in the freaking country for certain things. Our hotel was considered cheap, and I can tell you it was about like closer to $600 total for the weekend. Not counting like valet and like food. It doesn't have like a restaurant. Well, it does, but like they don't give you like meals. It's like just like a normal restaurant. You can go down there and eat if you want to. Then there's eating in Boston or a city, whatever. That's also very expensive. So I don't know. There's a lot of, if you try to get food at these things specifically, if you don't just like leave the con to grab food, they will have food there, but it's probably going to be wicked expensive. Everything is sort of a money grab. And on top of the money that you might spend on Blu-rays, plushes, blankets, DVDs, friggin' body pillows, whatever the hell you're going to do that night, keep that in mind. Travel and expenses are a thing. Gasoline is a thing. Again, this is all sort of, I guess, dependent on how expensive the city that you are going to is. You could just go to a con for a day, but I'm kind of talking about like if you wanted to experience like the whole weekend, or at least like 2 days or something. There's always a cringe factor, I think. If you're someone that's off-put by cosplay, or even not even just that. Like I said, I've grown to respect cosplayers a whole lot. I've realized the error of my ways before for judging them. However, there are still fucking weird people, and I know I'm weird, but like there's like a line, like you'll just see people doing weird shit, weird people that just like stare at shit and fucking smell, and like you could tell that this is the first time they've seen sunlight in a while. It's just not every anime fan is the most healthy person out there mentally, or maybe even and physically. I guess we can leave it at that. But there is a cringe factor that is going to come in here. Like, I get it. We all like anime. We all have that in common. I don't mean to necessarily pick on people. If you're weird, be weird, I guess. If you're not hurting anybody, I guess it's not a problem. But just be ready for that. Like be ready for that. Be ready to see, the adult male in the Zelda skirt. Be ready to see the guy dressed as Sly Cooper, probably about to hump the girl dressed as a squirrel or something. I don't know. I don't know why I'm just going to furries. I mean, you'll see a lot of furry cosplay even at an anime con. It's not just anime characters. But just be ready for a certain cringe factor. I think that I am more impressed than I am discouraged by the anime fans I've encountered at anime cons. It's overall been a positive experience, I would say. I would say if you take nothing else from this, go try it out for like a day. Get like a day pass, go for like one day. Don't necessarily book a hotel and spend tons of money if you're just trying it. I do think that there's value to going each day because they'll have different events. Each day they'll have different panels where you can talk. You can actually like ask questions to voice actors and stuff and creators and the vendor's room, the dealer's room will kind of be the same for the weekend. But sometimes that's so big that you might want to take more than one day just to try and see everything there. That way you don't miss something rare. But different days will have different events, different premieres and stuff like that. So I don't know. I used to be fearful of anime cons, and I've grown to love Anime Boston. I look forward to it every year. I'm still looking for the day where somebody recognizes me, by the way. I did actually have my badges here say Miasma Senpai, but nobody's recognized me yet. If you do go at Anime Boston, let me know. Let me know down below what you thought of it this year and in previous years. And if you've gone to a con in general, let me know of your experience. And if you have any questions about anime conventions, also leave that, because I'm sure I can try and answer it, and maybe other people in the comment section can answer your questions as well. Because, going in, I had a lot of questions myself. I hope that this helped out a little bit. Just take away that there's a lot of people, so that's like a positive and negative. There's a lot of shit to buy. That's a positive and a negative there, because it's money, and you need money to live. I don't recommend eating bologna for a week just so you can go buy an Oscar body pillow. Yeah. If you're I will also, one last thing I wanted to mention is that you got to be, if you're going to a con for the first time and let's say you're an older anime fan, not necessarily into the weekly new hotness show, be prepared, because the anime community online that seems to only care about the newer shows is the same anime community that meets up at these cons and all dresses up as My Hero Academia characters. Now, I've seen the first 2 seasons of My Hero Academia. Rest assured, I think that it is a pretty good show. I have friends that will devoutly say otherwise, looking at you, Light Lelouch. I wish that there was more attention paid to older shows. Once in a while, you'll see some cool cosplay of something older. But I guess that's just me being an old man in this anime community, I suppose. But yeah, let me know you guys' convention experience down below. And yeah, hopefully I could see somebody listening to this at an Anime Boston in the future. Thank you guys so much for listening. My name is Miasma, and I'll see you next time.